Changemakers. Johnny Youngblood's joining us in studio. Thanks for being in, Sheriff. We appreciate it. All right, a lot to talk about. It has been a busy month for KCSO. Let's begin with the most recent incident, that crash that happened on Manor Street, sending 7 people to the hospital. This happened Tuesday night, and KCSO says it started when a driver drove onto the Laredo jail property, later leaving, running a red light, and then slamming into an SUV. First off, can you give us an update on how the victims from that SUV are doing?
We believe they're all going to live, but there were some serious injuries, some ejections. Tragic for a family. They did nothing wrong. The guy pulled up into our gate at Laredo, and it has an arm. It's a checkpoint, and he drove through it into our parking lot, which is a non-secure area. Confronted then by detention deputies, he flipped a U and sped out of the gate on the opposite side, the wrong side of the road. They then reported it to patrolmen who, they were on China Grade Loop, and they were going westbound. He was going eastbound. They saw him speeding. They flipped a U to try and catch up to him. By the time they did, he'd already crashed at Manor. Just tragic.
And so again, there were 2 adults, 5 children in that SUV, an adult and a child said to have major injuries.
Yes.
And then in addition to that, the driver of that Honda under arrest, but also in the hospital this morning.
He is. And the detention deputy believed he was either having a mental health issue or under the influence of drugs. We won't know for a few weeks.
Okay. And currently his condition?
Who cares? Sorry. He was critical at the time. But, you know, we're focusing more on the family, and we care that they are all okay because they're the ones that are doing absolutely nothing wrong.
Absolutely. All right, let's go ahead and talk about another big event that the department is investigating currently. This happened May 5th. KCSO tracked a man wanted for warrants to a home on Ray Street in Oildale. A 12-plus hour-long standoff ensued and ended with the arrest of Keith Jewis. His family, though, says in the aftermath, they and their neighbors have nowhere to live. SWAT officers ripped off the garage door, demolished a bedroom, and power was cut to that home and the one next door. Do you have any update that you can share on this case? Well,
first of all, he was in the upper portion of that house with an AR-15 with armor-piercing ammunition, green tip ammunition, meaning it could penetrate our vests, it could penetrate our helmets. We don't know that at the time, but we assume that that's the case. And when we get in, that's exactly what we find. So had we had this, the Rook, when Philip Campus was killed, he would be alive today. I'm almost positive. We bought this after Philip Campus for the simple reason deputies shouldn't have to go into a house unless they absolutely have to, without all the protection that we can find for him, and the Rook does that. He had every opportunity to give up, every opportunity to come out. When we finally caught up with him, he admitted that he lived in the house.
Can you explain what the Rook is?
The Rook's a tool that can put us up close in front of a house with armor-piercing or level 4 armor on the front, meaning you can't shoot through it. We can negotiate from a close standpoint. It has attachments that it can claw the house, which we used. Most people, when that starts, would give up. He did not.
Okay, so you're explaining this Rook was part of what caused so much damage to this home.
That's exactly what caused the damage.
Okay.
We had waited 12 hours trying to negotiate with him. My SWAT team had been up for 24 hours. They were on the way home. The Bakersfield Police Department was going to relieve us. We'd given him every opportunity to give up.
And so then power was also cut to that home and the home next door. Can you explain why that is?
Well,
why that happened?
You cut power because you don't want to have a fire, and him shooting at us throughout the night, those rounds are going somewhere, and we didn't want a child to get hit. It could have ended a lot worse than it did.
Did deputies keep doing damage to the home after the suspect was arrested?
By maybe searching the house, I don't know. But we didn't go in there and intentionally tear the house up.
And what happens in a situation like this when a home is left without power, another home is damaged? Who's responsible for damage, for getting that home back up and running, the one without power that wasn't even part of the investigation necessarily?
Certainly not the taxpayer. And the person that lives in the house is responsible for everything that occurred, including the finances of it.
The person who lives in the house?
Yes.
Was that the suspect, or is that
suspect,
other
sister,
family members?
Other family members.
So they're responsible
Whoever's
for that
in charge of that house. The taxpayers should not be on the hook because someone decides not to give up and to shoot at cops.
What about the home next door that is then deemed by code enforcement you can't live in because power has been cut to it?
The power can be reinstalled rather easily. I don't know if that's an issue.
But that's something that the landlord and those who own the homes would have to do.
That would be up to them and code compliance to decide if we did it for safety and it can be reattached, we would take care of that.
All right. Let's talk about the Kern County Grand Jury report on the KCSO evidence facility on L Street in Bakersfield. The Sheriff's Department preparing to move to a new property room on McMurtry Avenue. Among findings, jurors say evidence rarely lost or misplaced, but they also called out the department for some unsanitary conditions and poor ventilation and evidence of pests, recommending that the property operations be moved by the end of the year to this new facility. Do you have an update on the date when this move is set to take place? And are you concerned at all with the findings?
Well, this grand jury should have known that we've already in the process of moving. Well, the report's been the same for 5 years. We've been trying to move. We have a new property room out where our corners facility is. We hope to be moved in between July and December. Shelving is in. The building's ready to go. It just takes time to make the move.
So in the next couple of months, though, we should
before
see
the end of the year.
Before the end of the year, which is what the grand jury referred to. And then lastly, Sheriff, I want to talk to you about a recent arrest of Bakersfield Police Officer Mark Lugo. This is a case where he is alleged to have contacted a teenager across the country in a sexually explicit way over the use of social media. This is not the first arrest we've seen like this in recent weeks and months and years, unfortunately. In fact, it seems to be getting more common and happening more often. What is your message to parents out there?
Yeah, you need to know what your child is doing on the internet because they can be conned, they can be groomed. We were contacted by the Center for Exploited and Missing Children, which alerted us to this. It didn't matter that he was a Bakersfield police officer. It could have been a sheriff's deputy. We would have done exactly the same thing. It's more prevalent because of the internet now. It's always been there. It's just been hidden. And parents need to be aware that their child is vulnerable, and it's their responsibility to know what their child is doing on the internet.
How common, how easy is this for a predator to get to your child on the internet?
Well, they fish. They will go into these games and these chat rooms and start a conversation, even pretending that there's somebody that they're not. It's really relatively easy, and children are vulnerable. Children are naive. Children will, they love to explore, and that's the difficult part of it.
It's truly heartbreaking and a frightening time, but it's something we need to confront. Sheriff, thank you very much for coming in. We appreciate it.